Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the DCRB here in Development Control and Regulatory Board. This is a public meeting and is being broadcast to you via YouTube. Could I remind members to turn their microphones on when speaking and to turn them off when they have finished the speaking. We are not expecting a fire alarm, but if the fire alarm does go off, please exit the committee rooms via the door you came in, turn right and go through the double doors, down the flight of stairs which lead to the two fire exits. We will move straight on to the agenda. Agenda item 1 is minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of January 2025, pages 3 to 4 in your pack. I propose that the minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of January 2025 are taken as read, confirmed and signed. Everybody in agreement? Thank you, members. Agenda item 2 is question time. I have not received any questions from the public. Agenda item 3, questions asked by members under Standing Order 7.3 and 7.5. I have not received any questions from members. Agenda item 4 is to advise of any other items which the chairman has decided to take as urgent elsewhere on the agenda. There are no urgent items. Agenda item 5, declarations of interest in respect of items on the agenda. It is noted that all members who are also members of a parish, town or district council or liaison committee will have personal interest in those applications which relate to areas covered by those authorities. Are there any other interests to declare, please? Mr. Coxon.
Yes, Chairman. Agenda item 10, page 171, N22. It mentions Ivanhoe Social Club, which I'm a member of, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Coxon. Yeah, noted. Oh, Mr. Harrison.
I equally am a member of the Ivanhoe Club, Ashford Ellen Zouch. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Noted. Okay, agenda item 6 is presentation of petitions under Standing Order 35. I have not received any petitions, so we move on to the substantive agenda items, which are reports of the Chief Executive on planning applications, county matter applications. I would like to move, members, with your agreement that agenda item 8 is taken ahead of agenda item 7. We are expecting a speaker on agenda item 7 who is not here yet, so we're just going to give a little window of extra time if everybody's in agreement. Thank you, members. So we will move on to agenda item 8, which is application 2024-10117-04 with some suffixes for Terra Building Products Limited to continue the development of Desford Brickworks and Quarry by amending the provisions of Condition 2 of the Planning Permission 2018-066904 insofar as it relates to the phasing of mineral extraction land at Desford Brickworks, Heath Road, Desford. Charlie Cookson, as Planning Officer, will present the report. But before we do, members, just for members' information and any members of the public who may be online, we have heard both of these applications today previously. Council or committee gave approval for those two applications. What has then happened is between this committee sitting and the legal agreements being signed off and the decision notice issued, the National Planning Policy Framework has come forward as an updated framework, and members are therefore officers duty bound to make sure that the permission that we've given that's not been signed off yet still complies with the National Planning Policy Framework. So in principle, that's what the officers will be presenting today, is that double check relative to the NPPF. Oliver will throw in a little bit of extra technical details to why we are sitting here. It is not intended that we open up the debate again, because you've had the debate about the planning application. So here you're just going to take the officer's recommendations and go from there. So thank you, members. Oliver.
Thank you very much, Chair. To be honest, that was a very comprehensive summary, so there is little for me to add to that, but really just a reiteration that we are reviewing the applications in light of the changes to the NPPF, and it is those elements that we are looking at rather than revisiting the whole of the application. I appreciate it has been before the board before, so many of you will have seen this. But this is being brought back for you. It's based on case law and it's in the interests of robust decision making. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Oliver. Charlie, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. So this application relates to the variation of Condition 2 of Planning Permission 2018-0669-04 in order to amend the chronological order in which the new quarry phases are worked. The application was previously reported to DCRB on the 21st of November 2024, with members resolving to permit subject to the conditions as set out in Appendix A of the main report as amended by an addendum, and the prior completion of a legal agreement to ensure existing obligations are attached to the new permission. We consider it prudent to have regard to the ruling of Kydes versus South Cambridgeshire District Council and others at the Court of Appeal in 2002. This case held that there was a duty to have regard to any new factor that had arisen for the first time between a committee decision and the signing of a decision notice. Since this application was heard on the 21st of November 2024, the process of securing a legal agreement required for a decision notice to be issued is still ongoing. On the 12th of December 2024, a revised National Planning Policy Framework was published, presenting an updated policy context. Therefore, the County Planning Authority considers it both necessary and in the interest of applicants, the public and the authority to refer items back to board in light of the NPPF revision. To provide a brief summary of the changes to the NPPF which apply, paragraphs 96 and 102, which refer to promoting healthy and safe communities, states that the decision should enable and support healthy lives through both promoting good health and preventing ill health, and reduce health inequalities between the most and least deprived communities. Furthermore, the safety of children and other vulnerable users in proximity to open water, railways and other potential hazards should be considered in planning and assessing proposals for development. Paragraph 116, which relates to highways, states that development should only be prevented or refused on highways grounds if there would be an unacceptable impact on highway safety, or the residual cumulative impacts on the road network following mitigation would be severe, taking into account all reasonable future scenarios. Paragraph 161 and 163 relate to climate change and state that the planning system should support the transition to net zero by 2050 and take full account of all climate change impacts, including overheating, water scarcity, and storm and flood events. Furthermore, the need to mitigate and adapt to climate change should be considered to preparing and assessing planning applications, taking into account the full range of potential climate change impacts. Paragraph 182, which relates to planning and flood risk, states that applications which could affect drainage on or around the site should incorporate sustainable drainage systems to control flow rates and reduce volumes of runoff, and which are proportionate to the nature and scale of the proposal. A footnote within the superseded NPPF, which was from December 2023, aimed to make the availability of agricultural land for food production an explicit consideration in determining if sites are appropriate for development. However, this footnote has now been removed. In relation to the reconsultation of consultees, the Local Highways Authority provided no objection, the lead Local Flood Authority had no revised comments, and Hinckley and Bosworth Borough Council Environmental Health had no revised comments. The proposal has been reassessed as set out in the addendum report dated the 13th of February 2025. Overall, the recommendation does not change from the previous meeting, being to permit, subject to the conditions set out in Appendix A of the main report dated the 21st of November 2024, as amended by the addendum dated the 21st of November 2024, and the prior completion of a legal agreement to ensure existing obligations are attached to the new permission. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. We have no public speaking, so I open the floor up to members. Mr. Allen.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll keep it simple. I'll just move the officer's recommendation. Thank you, Chair.
Second that, Chair.
I didn't see whose hand up went up first, but there was clearly a seconder. And just for clarity, members, you are supporting the officer's recommendation, which includes the addendum. Okay, so we have a proposer, we have a seconder. Happy to move to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, members. Thank you, Charlie. Amelia. Thank you, members. Amelia, welcome. Right, so we now return to agenda item 7, is application 2022/10125/04 plus suffixes, Midland Quarry Products Limited, continuation of mineral operations, overburden disposal and ancillary activities, Cliff Hill Quarry, West Lane, Colville. It's in your agenda pack as pages 5 to 120. We do have one speaker, I think. Yeah, it looks like the public speaker's not arrived yet, so we will have to move on. So Amelia, hand it over to you, please.
Thank you, Chair. So this application is for the continuation of mineral operations, overburden disposal and ancillary activities at Cliff Hill Quarry, including an easterly extension to Old Cliff Hill Quarry with new screening landform, requiring the relocation of parts of Cliff Lane, Cliff Hill Road and Stony Lane, and the demolition of Peak Hayes Farm and Sunny Cliff. Construction of a new access into Old Cliff Hill Quarry with landscaping, habitat creation and restoration of the quarry void to water at land at and adjoining Cliff Hill Quarry, West Lane, Colville. The applicant is Midland Quarry Products Limited. So this application was previously reported to DCRB on the 21st November 2024, where it was resolved to permit the application subject to the conditions as set out in the Appendix A of the main report and the prior completion of a legal agreement to secure provisions for a liaison committee to include the dust and blasting and sub-liaison committees. As previous, we consider it prudent to have regard for the ruling of Kydes versus South Cambridgeshire District Council and others at the Court of Appeal in 2002. This case held that there was a duty to have regard to any new factor that had arisen for the first time between a committee decision and the signing of a decision notice. Since this application was heard on the 21st November, the process of securing the legal agreement required for a decision notice to be issued is still ongoing. And since then, the revised National Planning Policy Framework was published, presenting updated policy context. Therefore, the County Planning Authority considers it both necessary and in the best interest of the applicants, the public and the authority to refer this item back to the board in light of this revision. In this case, a brief summary of the changes to the NPPF that apply includes paragraphs 96 and 102, promoting health and safe communities, and that decision should enable and support healthy lives through both promoting good health and preventing ill health and reduce health inequalities between the most and least deprived communities. Furthermore, the safety of children and other vulnerable users in proximity to open water, railways and other potential hazards should be considered in planning and assessing proposals for development. Paragraph 116, relating to highways, development should only be prevented or refused on highway grounds if there would be an unacceptable impact on highway safety. The residual cumulative impacts on the road network following mitigation would be severe, take into account all reasonable future scenarios. Paragraphs 161 and 163, climate change. The planning system should support the transition to net zero by 2050 and take full account of all climate impacts, including overheating, water scarcity, and storm and flood events. Furthermore, the need to mitigate and adapt to climate change should be considered in preparing and assessing planning applications, taking into account the full range of potential climate change impacts. Paragraph 182, planning and flood risk. Applications which could affect drainage on or around the site should incorporate sustainable drainage systems to control flow rates and reduce volumes of runoff, and which are proportionate to the nature and scale of the proposal. And a footnote within the superseded NPPF aimed to make the availability of agricultural land for food production an explicit consideration in determining if sites appropriate for development, and this footnote has now been removed. The consultees which were reconsulted were as follows. Local Highway Authority, no objection. Lead Local Flood Authority, no objection. Public Health didn't provide any revised comments and retained their no objection. Hinkley and Bosworth Borough Council Planning and Environmental Health, no objection. North West Leicestershire District Council Planning, no revised comments. And North West Leicestershire District Council Environmental Health, no objection. So to conclude, the proposal has been reassessed as set out in the addendum report, and overall the recommendation does not change from the previous meeting, that being to permit the application subject to the conditions as set out in Appendix A of the main report, dated 21st November 2024, and the prior completion of a legal agreement to secure provisions for a liaison committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Amelia. We do have one speaker, Mr. Chris Loudon of SLO Consulting. Thank you, Mr. Loudon. So for those members who may be listening online via YouTube, the applicant has chosen not to take their 5 minutes to make representation on the basis that there is nobody speaking from the public against the application. So I just remind members, you are here merely to consider the impact of the MPPF, as explained by Amelia. We're not here to reopen the debate on the planning application, so I open the floor to members. Mr. Grimley.
I'll propose officer's recommendation.
Mr. Merry.
I'd like to second you.
Any other comments? Any other opinions? Okay, so we have a proposer. We have a seconder. So we take the vote, please. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you, members. So that application 2022-1012-504 is approved. Thank you, and thank you for your time, Mr. Loudon, and safe travels home. Thank you. Okay, so we now move on to agenda item 9. Delegated decisions issued 1st of October 2024 to the 31st of December 2024. The report is just to note, are there any questions in your pack as well? Pages 165 to 166. Any questions, members? No questions, thank you. Agenda item 10 is delegated decisions for works to trees protected by Leicestershire County Council tree preservation orders, 1st of July 2024 to the 31st of December 2024, in your pack at pages 167 to 176. The report is also to note, are there any questions? No questions, thank you, members. Agenda item 11, any other items which the chairman has decided to take as urgent? There are none. And then finally, agenda item 12, chairman's announcements. The only announcement I have to make is that the next meeting of this board is on Thursday, the 13th of March 2025 at 2 p.m. in this room. Thank you, members. Safe travels home.